Ladies and gentlemen, President Mashed Potato Brains got himself into a predicament, and we have lawmakers push to ban Russian imports amid White House resistance. New York Times. The Hill, White House knocks down talk of banning Russian oil imports. Now, hit subscribe to this channel right now. We're going to talk about things that media will not address. Okay, you're talking about a president now who has created, well, I should say the people around President Mashed Potato Brains have created a hysteria, this typical apoplectic hysterical frenzy. In this case, around banning and sanctioning everything Russian. And what happens is when 7% of your imports of oil come from Russia, and you already have runaway and rampant inflation, and you already have record highs in terms of not only inflation, but the stock market that's about to collapse. And I predicted that in the Federalist last October. And you have an economy that's heading for 0% or negative growth in the first quarter of 2022. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, right when the stream starts, they kick people off. It's unbelievable. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, to my super chat. I can't thank you enough. JG, Eric, David, everybody here. Luke, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Hit subscribe. We have a lot to talk about. Quick question. Did you get notified? Did anybody get notification for this live stream? I'm wondering because definitely hit notification. Hit the notification bell when you subscribe. JG, thank you. I'm wondering, did people get notified for this live stream? Because the notification bell has been a bit bizarre all day regarding uploads. Did you get notified? Did you get notified of this live stream, ladies and gentlemen? Let me just find out if you got notified really quickly. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel. Okay, awesome. To my super chat, I can't do this without you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. To my super chat, your support is greatly appreciated. If you want to talk about this or any topic, Sandiford, please stop. Please stop insulting Mashed Potato like that. BRX95, hello. Sandiford, thank you. P. Brown, thank you. Thank you so very much. It is an insult to mashed potatoes everywhere. Thank you, Sandiford, to my super chat, getting started off. Thank you. So, really quickly, this is a huge miscalculation, a typical debacle for President, well, I could say President Poopy Pants or President Mashed Potato Brains, I don't know. But he did not think this through. When you create this hysteria and this frenzy to ban everything that has to do with Russia, if you want to ban everything and sanction everything, well, guess what? That means, understandably, there's a bipartisan bill out there to ban 7% of oil imports. So you can look right here. Russia is a major supplier of oil to the U.S. Okay? You're not going to go after... And by the way, for the record, I support the Ukrainian people. I support Ukraine. And I think what Russia's doing is wrong. But we could stop this tomorrow. We could have prevented all of this by simply pushing for a negotiated deal or settlement or peace treaty or ceasefire after the first or second day where NATO and the U.S. and Ukraine would agree upon terms. Or Ukraine, basically, we have created this situation. Russia, for years and years, has said they're going to invade. We knew that they would invade. Now, Biden waived sanctions on Nord Stream 2. Typical Typical move by mashed potato brains. He waived sanctions on Nord Stream 2 last year. Then he doubled imports of Russian oil last year. Okay? That's according to PolitiFact when they went after Maria Bartiromo, and they literally bolstered exactly what she said. They fact-checked themselves in a fact-check of Maria Bartiromo. Okay? And then they did not allow President Zelensky in Ukraine into NATO. But here, they should have allowed. If this whole thing's about NATO, why didn't they just allow President Zelensky into NATO? So the whole thing is very bizarre. Okay? They keep saying that one day Ukraine can be part of NATO, but then they don't allow Ukraine into NATO. It makes no sense. If you look right here, Russia supplied 7% of U.S. crude oil imports in late 2021. We doubled the amount. Of crude oil imports from Russia. If you don't believe me, just here, Maria Bartiromo, fact check oil. Okay, so here, the U.S. did not double import. This is hilarious. Okay, this is the best thing you've ever seen in your life, okay? This is the best thing you've ever seen in your life. Fact check. Fact check. Don't listen to information that's amiss. Fact check. We have doubled our oil imports from Russia in last year. Maria Bartiromo said that is mostly false. That is mostly false. Fact check. Wait, what? Read the fine print. The U.S. did double the amount of crude oil imports from Russia last year. Hello? The U.S. did double the amount of crude oil imports from Russia last year. Under Biden's first year, the U.S. did double, and the U.S. increased its oil imports by around 28%. And we doubled our crude oil imports. Just not other products pertaining to crude oil. Okay? So they moted and dissed themselves, which is pretty unbelievable. How you can do that, I don't really know. How do you mode yourself? And now I'm dating myself, but how do they? I call it the self mode. JG, you remember the term moded? Eric, you're too young for this. That was an 80s term. Moded. They moded themselves. Okay? I call it the self mode. So, Mr. Barlow! Sleepy Joe looks like Bob Backlund. Mr. Barlow, thank you. So, it's right there. Dun, 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 dun. Fact check. Oh, wait, what's this? The U.S. did double the amount of crude oil import from Russia. We doubled the amount. Oh, wow. Well, that's good. Russia supplies 7% of U.S. crude oil imports. 7%. 7%. Okay. Did you think this through, mashed potato? Did you think this through, mashed potato? Because right now they want to sanction India, which is a strategic, not only an important strategic ally of the United States of America, it just happens to be the second largest country in the world, just happens to be the second largest market in the world, and one of the most important strategic allies we have in the entire planet. They're in a region of the world where, in terms of geopolitics, they're an extremely important country. They have one of the largest militaries in the world, and they're a nuclear power. But go ahead, as if we haven't been through enough, mashed potato brains Biden. Go ahead. U.S. is considering India sanctions. Is he out of his mind? Is he out of his mind? We need friendly relations with India for a number of reasons. Okay? You can look at the map, and you can look at the countries right around India, bordering India, where the U.S. needs either cooperation or an ally. But wait, fact check. We have not doubled our oil imports. Oh, yes, wait, we did. Oh, yeah, we did, actually. We did double our oil imports. We have 7%. We have 7% of oil comes to. How do you, just really quickly, the economy is in the toilet. And I'm talking about our economy. You know, we don't get wealthier if the ruble is worth toilet paper. The ruble could be worth toilet paper. That doesn't make us wealthier. Okay? You have these Democrats online. They're like, the ruble is worth toilet paper. Who cares? It's not making you rich. It's not making you any wealthier. It's not making the country. It's actually hurting us. They kicked us off. They kicked them off SWIFT. And there's an alternative. There are numerous alternatives. And oil prices went up. Yeah, he wants to sanction India. Can you believe this? He's out. It's you know that movie. It's Democrats Gone Wild. Ding 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 ding. Remember the VHS tape? Okay, this is Democrats Gone Wild. Yeah. Sanctioning everything that moves. Look, it's Democrats Gone Wild. They won't stop until we're bartering toilet paper once again. We're giving special services for toilet paper, yeah. Biden weighing sanctions on India over Russian military stockpiles. So what? I mean, they supply the whole world with weaponry. So do we. We won't even buy. Listen. The Democrats, the White House won't even. They're opposing a ban of 7% of U.S. imports of oil, but they expect to go after. They expect to go after. They expect to go after India for, God forbid, military buying armament from. So what? I think they're the second or third. We're the number one supplier of weapons in the world. We're the number one, and we have the wonderful F-35. They have like a cheaper version that's almost as good or just as good, or maybe some say better. It's unbelievable. Okay, so it's just U.S. says it's still considering India sanctions after it abstained in UN vote. It's their right to abstain. It's their right to abstain. People aren't born to show allegiance to this country. Democrats themselves don't want to even sing. Many don't want to even sing the Pledge of Allegiance. So why sanction others if they don't show absolute loyalty and allegiance to the country? Sanctioning India is basically the epitome of democratic politics, the most foolish, counterproductive. In terms of geopolitics, it is the worst thing you could ever do. But then again, you have to understand the morally superior liberals. They don't understand what geopolitics is. They don't understand. They have no idea. They don't understand the concept of hypocrisy. Biden is opposing a ban. The White House is opposing a ban of 7% of the oil. They doubled imports from Russia. But then we're going to sanction India because they're buying weapons from Russia. Okay, we can import and buy oil. They can't buy weapons. And don't even get started on Uranium One. Democrats are up to their eyeballs in hypocrisy with Moscow. But Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin. Oh, there you go again, bringing up my good name, Mad Cow Mark. Mad Cow Mark. Fact check, that is right. America didn't double. They more than doubled their intake. Exactly. Exactly. Mad Cow Mark. Exactly. Mad Cow Mark. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope all is well. Mad Cow Mark. Thank you. Well said. So, thus, Russia supplied 7% of U.S. crude oil imports in 2021. A significant number. Replacing that oil would put additional upward pressure on global oil prices, virtually assuring that oil will exceed $100 per barrel. Well, it's already over. This article was written before it went over. It's well over $100 per barrel. Look. Biden is in between a rock and a hard place. He is in such a bad situation. President Mashed Potato Brains is such a bad situation. He did nothing. Okay, he did nothing substantial to prevent this invasion from taking place. They're about to capture Kiev under Biden's watch. Democrats are witnessing their worst fears of Trump's administration, but except they're the ones who are in power in the Oval Office, in the executive branch. They're going to, I mean, you see a top Democrat, Michael Madigan, in 22 counts indicted today. I have a live an upload on that earlier today. Okay, and let's put it this way: there's even a point for Democrats when there's just so much corruption that they have to indict. Okay, but a lot of that also could be power politics and one faction within the Democratic Party turning on another. You see that in Hollywood all the time. But how do you initially replace 7% of U.S. oil imports? How do you do that when inflation is at 7.5% and it's only rising? And oil is directly tied to the price of commodities. And when commodities go up and oil goes up, the economy takes a downward spiral. Everything is more expensive. It's not getting less expensive. And then you heard, I watch Michael Invests and Tries to Make Money. He's a fantastic channel. Mad Cow Mark, I believe he's Australian. He's absolutely fantastic. Mad Cow Mark, everyone in Australia, everyone around the world should watch Michael Invests and Tries to Make Money. He's going to go well past 200,000. He'll have 1 million subs soon. Michael Invests and Tries to Make Money. Excellent channel. He showed Jerome Powell speaking. I believe that was his channel I watched. It showed Jerome Powell speaking. And he's like, oh yeah, you know what? It's a situation we're watching closely. And, a situation we're watching closely. And, it's a situation we're watching. Here, of course. Of course. My God. I mean, you can't allow the live stream to just go on without. If they kick you off, log back on, ladies and gentlemen. My God. But thank you for that. Mad Cow Mark, thank you. Everybody here to my super chat, thank you. So Jerome Powell was saying, oh yeah, we're going to raise it 25 basis points. That's not going to make a difference. Just here, it's not going to make a difference. Here, let's see what Peter Schiff has to say. He's hilarious. I mean, he's brilliant, but he's kind of hilarious when he's kind of giving his viewpoint on what's going on. The only way to avoid a bond market crash here. This is the only way to avoid a bond market crash and prop up the economy and the stock market would be for the Fed to abandon its plan to shrink its balance sheet and launch a new round of quantitative easing. Wow. That policy reversal will sink the dollar instead, sending inflation soaring. Checkmate. Peter Schiff, the U.S. has just sent a message to China, sell all U.S. dollars, and then when the Fed shrinks its balance sheet, the bond market suffers. The U.S. bond market will crash, tanking the U.S. economy and stock market with it. So instead of buying bonds, they're going to sell the bonds, which will tank the price of bonds. And you have a situation where the bond market could tank. Well, it depends how fast they do it. So Powell lied when he claimed the Fed doesn't consider the unsustainable fiscal path of the federal government when making policy. Of course he lied. He also lied when he said that the time to deal with this problem is when the economy is strong, as he just told Congress the economy is very strong right now. Oh my God, the economy is not strong. The economy is not strong at all. Okay? And so you have, just really quickly, so Russia is 7% of US oil. 700,000 barrels per day. U.S. imports by country. All right, that's interesting. So, that's interesting. So, what do you do? How do you replace? How do you replace 700,000 barrels per day? Oh, sorry, Mexico was second. 595,000, so 600,000 or so. Okay. Now, notice how nobody's talking about combating climate change. Notice that. How do you replace millions of barrels of Russian oil per day? So this is an interesting article. This is the Washington Post. Just to let you know, the overzealous nature, the typically apoplectic nature of whatever the wonderful, morally superior liberals want, this is like tanking the global economy. This whole thing is tanking the global economy. We are heading towards, as I beg for super chat, we're heading towards a very, very tough time economically this year. This is going to be one of the worst years for the United States stock market and economy. One of the worst years ever. In 2014, oil hit an all-time high, but we didn't have inflation. We didn't have a problem with inflation in 2014. If you have rampant inflation and you have zero economic growth, because 2022, we're not going to have the economic growth we had in 2014, which was what, 2% or so? 2 to 3%? We're not going to have the economic growth. We have the inflation problem. We have supply chain problems. We have key labor shortages because we displaced 22 million workers because Democrats and media and the morally superior among us pushed to end economic activity. I mean, it's the worst thing you could ever imagine is taking place. All of these things are unprecedented, by the way. All of these things are unprecedented. There's never been a time, ladies and gentlemen, where economies decided to tank deliberately tank their economies. So they're like, the International Energy Agency on Tuesday agreed to release 60 million barrels from its members. It's not even going to make a dent, not even for like 3 or 4 or 5 days. And so why don't they increase production in wind and solar? Oh, that's right. Because as usual, their obsessions, whether it's combating climate change, which is a noble issue, it's very important, and like Trump working with the Kremlin. I mean, the only person now who could possibly have been a Kremlin plant is the president we're seeing right this second, President Mashed Potato Brains, who wants to win over the hearts and minds of the Iranian people. God bless the Iranian people. He didn't mean that country. He meant Ukrainian people, but of course he said the name of another country because that's who we're rolling with now because of Trump's mean tweets. We had an amazing economy with Trump. We had a great foreign policy with Trump. Yes! Yes! Figglesnorp! Yes! Figglesnorp T. Duck! One of the great names in this channel's history. One of the great names in this channel's history. Figglesnorp T. Duck. Thank you. I must say, I've had some pretty awesome names in this channel's history. Could be either the best or top 3, top 4. Figglesnorp! Figglesnorp, thank you so very much to my super chat. I can't do this without you. Mad Cow Mark, everyone here, thank you. Figglesnorp T. Duck, one of the great names in the history of this channel. So, if the release intends to cover only 30 days, it equals 2 million barrels per day, matching what traders believe are current losses. That almost certainly, I'm not an oil trader. I'm not like, they're not even talking, there's probably so many unintended consequences of, I mean, I can't blame, I'm kind of defending Biden here because I can't blame him for not wanting to, because you know what, he went overboard as usual, and so I'm not really defending his policy, or he caused this situation, but it's understandable he wouldn't want to ban the 7% of U.S. oil because he doesn't have an immediate replacement. How is he going to? Is he going to ask other countries for more oil? But then you're beholden to other countries and OPEC. Canada can't increase production. Mexico can't increase enough production to replace 7% of U.S. oil within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So where is he replacing this oil that he might ban? Where is he replacing the oil? So then this article says the International Energy Agency should call on China and India to tap their emergency stockpiles. Biden might sanction India, like the imbecile Biden is. The lesson from this century's financial crisis is for authorities to use overwhelming measures. Okay, the opposite is taking place. My God Almighty, this is like, the liberal foreign policy establishment is like the Keystone Cops of geopolitics. They can't do anything right. Figglesnorp, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. I have to check that out. Okay, hold on. So let's see. I have to check that out. JG. I have to check. Thank you, JG. Pete. Let's see the amazing. Hold on 1 second here. This is what they were talking about by the crisis on our roadways. It's like, what how on earth are you saving anybody? What they do is they bring up catastrophes and they say, listen to us. All right, let's see what he said. They're still talking about the infrastructure bill. They're not letting go. They're not letting go. That's not infrastructure. It is the last thing. Is one of the last things we need at this moment. We need a laser focus on economic recovery. Nobody says, "Gosh, our roads and bridges." That's usually also the states. The states have a lot to do with roads and bridges. Maybe obviously not the federal highways, but let's see. What did he write on? So All right, I didn't see that. Um, so this is the thing, okay? He wants money for port upgrades to help supply chain. That's not going to help the supply chain. Focusing on growing the economy without burdening with like cutting taxes and cutting regulation would help the supply chain. Not 450 million for ports. Because guess what? There's a labor shortage in ports. Janet McGuffey! Janet, thank you so very much. JG, thank you for that. I'm sure I'll find it somehow. Janet, thank you so much. So kind of you. So kind of you. Figgle Snorp T Duck, thank you. Janet McGuffey, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much as always. I hope all is well, Janet. I hope you're doing well. Nothing to fear, Janet and Figgle Snorp and everybody here. Just oil at over $110. And as I beg for Super Chat, remember, save your money every month. And now we have tax season. Now we got to pay taxes. I mean, it's never ending. It's never ending. Save your money every month. Hit subscribe to this channel. As I beg for Super Chat, tell your friends, tell your family or people you care about that. Well, actually, don't tell them anything. Actually, never talk politics with anybody. But save your money every month. When this thing collapses, because we keep on pushing the envelope. Even if this didn't happen, the stock market would collapse sooner or later. Okay? And we were seeing the beginning of a stock market crash. We were seeing a stock market crash in slow motion even before this took place. Okay, now watch China either blockade Taiwan or invade Taiwan. Okay, every competitor on the world stage is looking at us and saying, okay, they're no longer the global superpower. We can't even impose sanctions right because the sanctions end up hurting us in the long run. So our economy, we're heading into a recession. Janet, thank you so very much. Massive! HA is putting the really bad guy. Thanks. Thank you, Massive Bona. Thank you, Massive. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Massive. Thank you so very much. Glad to have you watch. Thank you, sir. Massive Bona, thank you. Thank you, Lying Dogface Pony Soldier. Thanks for the independent news. Thank you. As always, I'll just LDFP. LDFP, thank you. As always, for your support. Massive, thank you so very much. Steppenwolf. Where we go. Steppenwolf, thank you. LDFP, thank you so very much. Massive, thank you so very much. Janet, thank you as always. I can't thank you enough. And Figgle Snorp T Duck, thank you. And we have, let's look at the commodity prices really quickly. So, commodity prices. Commodity prices. Let's see. Okay, well, wait a second. Oh, here. Live quote price. There you go. So here we go. Aluminum, tin. Tin is down a little bit, but 92% up year over year. Zinc, cobalt. My God, cobalt keeps going up. Lead, nickel, palladium, rhodium. Everything's going. Iron ore. Everything's going up. Well, beef actually went. Year over year, they're all up, except poultry. Isn't that interesting? I wonder why. Poultry's down 3% year over year. That's interesting. Every commodity index. Listen, watch this. Watch. This is interesting. Look at this. Look at this. Every index except wind and solar. Check that out. Wind and solar is down year over year, but every other index is up. Isn't that interesting? Kind of tells you anything the wonderful liberal Democrats touch turns to Bandini. Isn't that interesting? Look at that. Look at that right now. Isn't that interesting? Look at the year over year. Massive, thank you again. Everybody here. Janet, thank you so much. As always, Figgle Snorp, thank you. Check this out. JG, Eric, everybody here, check this out. Every commodities index is up, except solar energy index and wind energy index. Okay? Every time the morally superior liberal Democrats, who are wonderful people, obsess over something, the opposite takes place. They preach and pontificate regarding climate change, and the opposite takes place. Fossil fuels are through the roof. Wind and solar become less attractive the more we see what's taking place with Ukraine and Russia, or the more we see what's happening with Russia invading Ukraine under Biden's watch. It's happening. Could you imagine what Democrats would do if they would impeach Trump like 2 times in a week? Every week they would impeach Trump. They would have a weekly impeachment of Trump if this was, and they're going to impeach Biden. It's only a matter of time before they impeach Biden. I mean, they have to get back the House and the Senate, and they'll impeach Biden. So here, okay, so here. Let's see. Okay, so by Buddha just for saying all options on the table when asked about. Wow. Ah. Oh my God. It's against YouTube guidelines to even go there. So I won't go there. That would be a bad idea. That's a bad idea for a number of reasons. Oh my God. See, we should probably start drilling here. But again, Democrats don't want to do that. Yet another reason they're going to impeach Biden. Look, I think he should definitely just become a Republican. He sat with the Republicans during the State of the Union. Oh my God. So he won. No wonder Biden confused the countries. Here. What would need to happen in order to prompt a final decision on the oil ban? Saki. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Hold on. We don't have a strategic interest. Hold on. This is great. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Hold on.
Pelosi has come out also in support of banning Russian oil. So why keep the carve out, especially when oil, with the argument that Putin is going to not benefit from oil. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, and I think I do know what you're trying to say. Well, our objective and the president's objective has been to maximize impact on President Putin and Russia while minimizing impact to us and our allies and partners. And I know you've heard me say this a few times before, but we don't have a strategic interest in reducing the global supply of energy. And that would raise prices at the gas pump for the American people around the world because it would reduce the supply available. And it's as simple as less supply raises prices. And that is certainly a big factor for the president in this.
So she's actually not, it's just double speak, and she's trying to just lie through her teeth. She doesn't want to actually really, really hurt Putin's economy, because that would hurt our economy, and that would ensure Democrats, don't win for a long time, and that would expedite the eventual collapse of the stock market and definitely send us into a recession. We're already into a recession. Send us into a greater recession. So she simply does not want gas prices to go to $7 a gallon or $6 a gallon under mashed potato brain's presidency. But it's a bipartisan bill. She would much rather have billionaire yachts. And how do you have an $800 million yacht? I have no clue. How you have an $800 million yacht? I have no clue. Richard, thank you. Does that even make sense? An $800 million yacht? I mean, does it come with like a floating island? What is it? It makes no sense. But here,
at this moment, it also has the potential to pad the pockets of President Putin, which is exactly what we are not trying to do. So, as the president has said, we carved out payments for energy, trade, and transport from our financial sectors sanctions with that in mind. I would also.
So she's basically using the word sanctions in every way possible and padding the pocket of Putin. And, it wouldn't pad the pocket of Putin because, well, I guess it wouldn't be difficult for them to find somebody who needed the 7% of U.S. oil. It'd be easier for them to find a buyer for oil than it would be for us to replace oil. But we don't really want to hurt their economy because it would hurt our economy. So she's basically like, that's a good question. Padding the Putin pocketbook. That would also, there's no strategic interest in doing so. And the president has laid out a very important plan, padding the pocket of Putin, especially so close to St. Paddy's Day. That would just be good for the Putin. And we just can't do that. So, and I do thank you. Thankfully, you're not yelling at me like I was Trump, because about 2 years ago, people were yelling, and there was a lot of performance artists. There was one person when Trump he's like, "Are you going to apologize for lying so often?" Meanwhile, with this administration, I got a question. Did I miss Steppenwolf Super Chat? Steppenwolf! I thank you so very much. Steppenwolf, thank you. Teresa King, on top of rising utilities are overwhelming. On top of gas, rising utilities are overwhelming as well. Hope all is well with you and yours. Thank you, Teresa. Exactly, Teresa. Exactly. Utilities, 60% of electric power, 60 to 80% of electric power plants derive their fuel from gas, from fossil fuels and nuclear energy is 80% of how we derive our electricity. Okay, but let's continue to this. Teresa, thank you. Janet, thank you. Figglesnorp T. Duck, thank you so much as always. Janet, thank you so much as always. Teresa, Thank you so much. So much as always. Thank you.
Also note that we have been taking steps to degrade Russia's status as a leading energy supplier over time. That includes, of course, shutting down Nord Stream 2 or preventing Nord Stream.
You absolutely did not shut down Nord Stream 2. In fact, you waived sanctions. So where's the fact check? Dun, 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 fact check. Fact check. Fact check. So many people believe information that's amiss. And if they believe information that's wrong, then they vote for Trump. Luckily, I listen to Jimmy Kimmel and watch CNN and read PolitiFact. So I know all the information that I get is true. Like Trump is an authoritarian despot who was installed by the Kremlin. And then on the 16th, they would invade. Of course, it was a couple days later.
From operating. That's why we're surging LNG to Europe to help accelerate its diversification from Russian gas. And I think you've also seen European leaders talk about the need to reduce their reliance and to diversify. And we are continuing to look at other options we could take right now to cut U.S. consumption of Russian energy. I mean, for us, if you look at publicly available data, it's only about 10% of our imports.
Wow, I thought it was only 7%. Only about 1/10. It's just only 1/10 of our imports. It would only be 1/10 of your income. 1/10 is a pretty sizable amount. And what I read was 7%, but if it's 10%, that's even worse. Well, they doubled crude oil imports from Russia. Of course they did. And they waived sanctions. Fact check. Republicans say that mashed potato brains has blocked Nord Stream 2. Let's see. U.S. waives sanctions. Biden waives U.S. sanctions on Nord Stream 2. Look at that. They just recently imposed sanctions. So what? Had they waived sanctions, had they imposed sanctions months back and done all of this months back, the people of Ukraine would be a lot safer. So that's not true. That's not true. That's not true at all. But don't expect to hear anything truthful. Let's see here. Where was I? All right. So, where was I? And okay, here. Lord. Okay, so here.
Consider authorizing.
You know what? I don't even want to deal with. We need to make sure that we are not galloping after permanent solutions to immediate short-term problems. You mean like, I don't know, ending the U.S. economy and then dealing with the permanent repercussions? In fact, yes, we should be seeking permanent solutions, but they're completely incompetent. We need to make sure we're not galloping after permanent solutions to immediate short-term problems. Well, okay. I don't even know where I was with the Jen, the White House press secretary, but I mean, they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Trump did know what he was doing. They had a resistance. They had a resistance to Trump. There was a resistance. Remember the resistance? There's no need for a resistance to Biden. Nobody knows what he's doing. Nobody knows what Biden is actually doing. I mean, he wants to sanction India, and there's no reason to do so. There is zero reason to sanction India. It's only going to hurt us in terms of geopolitics. They're a growing, strong, powerful country. It's the second largest country in the world after China. Second largest economy. Market. And a geopolitical ally or a strategic ally or a very important country in a region of the world where we have, they're right in the most, in a region of the world where you have global superpowers and India is a nuclear power. The last thing you want to do is sanction India because they did what was their right to do. They didn't have to back us. Countries don't have to back the United States. They shouldn't receive a sanction just because they were looking at their political or geopolitical or national security interests. It's not like we haven't invaded countries the past 20 years. NATO destroyed Libya inadvertently, accidentally, but if it was for a good cause. See, when the U.S., when we invade countries, we say, oh, we're doing it for humanitarian reasons. Really, it's for national security reasons, not humanitarian reasons. We don't care when despots are doing despicable things. We do it for national security reasons. Now, I do not support what Putin is doing. I am opposed to it, but what he did was for national security reasons also, and we knew that. The thing with mashed potato brains is that he doesn't like President Mashed Potato Brains. This person right here doesn't know what he's doing. He literally has no idea. See, Trump had a very clear vision. He wanted to make deals, and he did with Kim Jong-un, and he did with the Doha Agreement. He reversed U.S. foreign policy. It was Biden who botched it, and those 13 Americans should be alive today. That's Biden's fault. It's directly the Democratic Party's fault, or I should say Biden's fault. And those 100 plus Afghans should be alive today. You don't utilize the T-ban as security around the only airport you leave open. And it was a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. That's what was negotiated that Biden completely ignored. But the question here, how do you replace? You don't replace. You can't replace 7 to 10%. Jen Psaki said 10%, so we'll go with 10%. This says what, 7%? How do you 7% of U.S. oil? So here. So how do you replace? You can't replace. You can't replace oil prices. Let's see here, PolitiFact. We doubled our crude imports here. The futures is pretty much meaningless. Okay, well, they're down. The futures were down 700 the other week, and then the market ended up. So it's like, I don't want a collapse, but what's going on right now is going to lose so many people so much money. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is going to be, I think it was Jeremy Grantham or Michael Burry. I forgot who said this. It's going to be the greatest loss of wealth in generations. I don't have anything in the stock market, people. If you cannot lose your capital, get out of the stock market. This is the only time I'm actually giving any specific advice. If you cannot accept 60 to 70 to 80% losses, meaning that you cannot live without that capital, what you put in, get out of the stock market while you still can. Because this year and the beginning of next year are going to be biblical. I mean, forget me. I'm just some schmuck. Look what Michael Burry said as I beg for super chat. um, Michael Burry said, the greatest bubble of all time. Oh, sorry, that's Russian propaganda. I'll do a segment on that. Oh my God. Oh. So, the greatest speculative bubble of all time by 2 orders of magnitude. Okay, great. Okay. The greatest. Richard Brown. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. A long story short, did you see Lee Zeldin is running for New York government? You know what? I didn't. That's pretty awesome. I hope he wins, but it's like you have this machine there. Tammany Hall is running strong. A long story short, he's good. He's really good. Lee Zeldin is really good. Big short investor Michael Burry warning the biggest speculative bubble in history. This is people. We're going to see 2 to 3 to 4,000 point drops in the market within the span of a couple of days. You could wake up next week and see a 5,000 point drop. You mean anything's possible. Of course, here's the thing. They have in the stock market, they have stock market Dow Jones. What is it, like a circuit breaker? They started trading. So it only goes down a certain percentage, and then it goes down. How the stock market circuit breakers work. Okay, so here's how. So it kind of limits what will go. So level 1, a drop of 7% of prior. Level 2, a drop of 13% after a 15-minute halt. Level 3, a drop of 20%. After 20%, okay, so they're not going to go down more than 6,000 points. And they'll actually, if it goes down 6,000 points, I guess they end trading. They halt trading. So imagine if it goes down 6,000 points, they will halt trading. So if it goes down 3,000 plus points, or less than 3, like 2,000 something, they'll halt trading, wait for 15 minutes, and then if it continues to go down, they'll stop trading again. And then if it goes to like 6,000 points down, they'll halt trading. You could get something like 5,000 points down. A long story short, I didn't see that. That's good though. So, I mean, we could see that, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not like I don't want that to happen, but it's not good. What's taking place right now is not good because you have people like, the Iron Sheik. I make you humble. We're not humble. You have to be humble in life. In terms of foreign policy, you should be humble. Here, I mean, not always. Sometimes you have to be, you have to go for broke, but you have to have humility, okay? Let's see if I could. Let's see. Hold on. You have to be humble like the Iron Sheik taught us. But I would play it, but there's too much. I love the Iron Sheik. Hold on.
An American in Miami, wrestling city. Anytime I go, they respect the sheik. They said, "Welcome to the Miami." But the dumbest one, the fattest one, I saw they bring the American flag and everybody call USA corporate commissioner. Remember, you punk. I call you a punk. I just want to know what Olympic gene.
So anyway, you have to be humble, like the Iron Sheik said. You have to be humble. I can't find. I mean, there are clips of him saying, "I'll make you humble," but I don't know if I could play them. But you have to be humble, and we're not humble. We're not. There's no humility. We're like, "Oh, yeah, we've come back. Yeah, end the economy. No problem." Love the Iron Sheik, by the way. Love the Iron Sheik. One of the greats of all time. One of the greats of all time. Um, that's right, JG. He does. He does. There's something not right. There's something not right about what's going on. It's we're in a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where we don't. We're in a situation where I don't think people understand when you're talking about sanctioning India, which is the most foolish thing you could do. When you're talking about immediately banning 7% of U.S. oil imports. And Republicans want to do this obviously for two reasons. One, it completely, you know, will tank Biden's economy even further, but also it'll, emphasize drilling at home, which Democrats don't want because they want to combat climate change. Well, at the same time, you know, um, uh, utilizing strategic oil reserves. And it's just interesting. Herschel Ballard! Herschel! Uh, I think money markets are safe, yeah. Generally, you have FDIC. If you're insured under FDIC, yeah. Generally. Herschel Ballard, yeah. Money markets are fine. Um, but you want liquidity. So anything that gives you liquidity, just, I wouldn't worry about making any money right now. I would just I want to ensure that I have liquidity and my principal is safe and I can just take the money out when I want to. Usually money market accounts, you can just take the money out. Herschel Ballard, but you want to, obviously FDIC insured. It's just unbelievable. Herschel Ballard, thank you again, Herschel. We'll go 7 more minutes, people, and then we'll be done. 7 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. He's in a tough situation. Now, if you look, Russia is right next to Kiev. And this is a real tragedy, but we basically they keep bringing up the convoy is stalled. It's like there shouldn't even be a convoy. It's bizarre that there's even a convoy that's. I don't understand why a lot of things I'm not even going to go into, you know, why nobody is asking a very simple question. I think it's like propaganda from Russia. What could we have done? Forget about what I think. Forget about what you think. Do you ever hear on MSNBC or CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, what could we have done to prevent this? I'm not talking about in terms of sanctions to deter Putin. I'm talking about what could we have done to prevent this? Herschel, thank you again. Herschel, thank you so very much. Janet, thank you as always. Figglesnorp, everybody here, thank you. Matt Calmar, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. The question is, what could we have done? What could we have done? I think cash is the most important, Herschel. Just checking account, cash, and just make sure you keep your principal. And, as I beg for super chat, this is going to be a terrible. The market, once they stop the quantitative easing and once they continue interest rate hikes, and once oil goes past, when oil goes past all-time highs, and the first quarter is negative or zero growth or like barely, not even 1% growth, and inflation hits corporate profits, they keep saying, well, the market's pricing it in. The market doesn't price everything in. That's why we have every 10 years or so, 2000, 2008, we haven't had the stock market collapse. But look, 87, 2000, 2008, every 10 to 13 to 14 years, there's a collapse in the market. And this one is going to be similar to 1929. Or I should say 08, not 1929, no. 2008. Unfortunately. But what does Biden do now? What do Democrats do now? Thank you, Nina. Thank you. What do Democrats do now? Steppenwolf, I think so. I think so. And like this stuff about buying the dip, don't buy any dip. I wouldn't buy stocks for at least a year. And after the market crashes, I wouldn't buy stocks for at least 4, 5, 6, 7 months. And I wouldn't even know when the bottom would be. Rainer, hello. It's just, it is, we're in a situation right now where the greatest fears of Trump's administration are being realized while Biden is in office. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Janet, Figglesnorp, Mad Cow Mark, everyone here, thank you so very much. Herschel, thank you so very, very much. Teresa, everybody here, thank you. Massive, LDFP, everybody here, thanks so much. Steppenwolf, a long short story, everybody here, thanks everybody. God bless, stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow. And make sure to watch the uploads in about, let's say 1 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Have a great, 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 great evening. Thank you so very much. JG, thank you so very, very much. Jordan B! I expect global cyber dispute from these current events, running various hedges. I see that. I see that. I see that also. I think that's the case. That could very well be the case, especially when you're talking about like going after each other from a cyber perspective, which is what Democrats are talking about. It's like you complained all this time. Jordan B.